Wu Zetian. Wu Zetian began as a low-ranking concubine in Tang Dynasty China, but rose to become the only female emperor in Chinese history. Her ascent was marked by extreme political maneuvering. She systematically eliminated rivals, including a former empress, though the well-known story that she murdered her own infant daughter to frame a rival is now widely considered to be a piece of historical propaganda spread by her enemies. Once in power, she purged opposition through a ruthless secret police network, leading to the execution or forced suicide of hundreds of officials and rivals. She replaced members of the royal family with her own relatives and ruled with absolute authority, transforming the Tang court into her personal instrument of control. Elizabeth Bathory. Elizabeth Bathory, a 16th-century Hungarian noblewoman, is infamous for allegedly torturing and murdering hundreds of young girls over several years. According to court testimonies, her cruelty included beating, mutilating, and starving her victims. The popular legend that she believed bathing in their blood would preserve her youth and beauty emerged centuries later and is not supported by contemporary evidence. Protected by her noble status, her crimes went unchecked until servants escaped and reported her. She was eventually confined to her castle under house arrest until her death, but was never formally tried or convicted. Queen Ranavalona. I ruled Madagascar from 1828 to 1861, with a reign so brutal it had a devastating impact on her kingdom. She reversed her husband's pro-European policies and imposed extreme isolationism. She banned Christianity, executing or enslaving converts. Thousands were killed through the Tangina ordeal, a poisonous trial by combat where innocence was proven by vomiting, a method she used liberally against suspected traitors. Forced labor projects and frequent warfare also contributed to a significant decline in the population, with some historians estimating that her policies led to the deaths of as many as 1 to 2 million people through violence, disease, and persecution. Irene of Athens. Irene of Athens ruled the Byzantine Empire as regent and then as emperor in the late 8th century. She gained power by having her own son, Emperor Constantine VI, blinded and exiled, a brutal act that ensured her sole rule. This made her the first woman to officially hold the title of Emperor of the Byzantine Empire. Irene was a devout supporter of the veneration of icons, and she suppressed religious opposition with harsh punishments for dissenters. Her reign was marked by intense political intrigue, a ruthless consolidation of power, and significant instability within the empire, as rivals continuously challenged her authority. Queen Mary I of England. Mary I earned the nickname Bloody Mary for her relentless persecution of Protestants during her short reign from 1553 to 1558. A devout Catholic, she sought to reverse the English Reformation initiated by her father, Henry VIII. She reinstated Roman Catholicism as the state religion and launched a campaign of religious cleansing. Nearly 300 Protestants were burned at the stake for heresy, including prominent scholars and clergymen. Her regime also imprisoned hundreds more, with many dying from disease and neglect. These public executions were intended to terrify and left England deeply divided, ensuring her legacy would be one of fear and religious fanaticism. Queen Catherine de' Medici. Catherine de' Medici wielded immense political power in 16th-century France as queen consort, then regent for her sons. Though a skilled stateswoman, her legacy is haunted by the saint, Bartholomew's Day Massacre of 1572. In an effort to suppress the growing power of the Protestant Huguenots, she approved a plan for a targeted assassination of their leaders. This plot quickly spiraled into a nationwide slaughter in which over 10,000 Protestants were murdered in their homes and in the streets. While the extent of her direct responsibility for the wider massacre is debated by historians, Catherine's use of fear and political manipulation plunged France deeper into its bloody wars of religion. Queen Olga of Kiev. After her husband, Prince Igor of Kiev, was murdered by the Drevlians in 945 CE, Queen Olga launched a systematic campaign of vengeance. According to the primary chronicle, she lured Drevlian envoys under the pretense of peace, only to have them buried alive. A second delegation was burned alive in a bathhouse. She then traveled to their city and organized a false funeral feast, where her soldiers slaughtered 5,000 attendees. Not yet satisfied, she later laid siege to the Drevlian capital and burned it to the ground using flaming birds. Olga's brutal reprisals established her authority and solidified her rule. Fredegund was a queen consort of the Merovingian kingdom in the late 6th century, notorious for her ruthless ambition and violence. According to contemporary sources, she orchestrated numerous assassinations and poisonings to eliminate rivals, including members of her own family. Her most infamous act was ordering the murder of King Chilperic I's wife and her children to secure her own son's position. Fredegund led brutal wars against rival factions, often resorting to treachery and cruelty. Her reign was marked by relentless scheming and bloodshed, embodying the chaotic and violent nature of early medieval Frankish politics. Queen Isabella the Reine of Castile. Isabella I, who ruled jointly with Ferdinand of Aragon, played a central role in formalizing and expanding the Spanish Inquisition in 1478. Her goal was religious uniformity in Spain, primarily targeting Jews and Muslims. She ordered the expulsion of over 100,000 Jews in 1492, forcing them to convert or flee. The Inquisition used torture to extract confessions and executed thousands suspected of heresy. Property was confiscated, families were destroyed, and a climate of fear was entrenched in daily life. Isabella's support of the Inquisition institutionalized religious persecution and established one of the most infamous judicial systems in history. Queen Elizabeth I of England. Elizabeth I ruled England from 1558 to 1603 and is often celebrated for stability and cultural flourishing, but her reign was also marked by harsh repression. She authorized the torture and execution of Catholic priests and sympathizers, branding them as traitors. Over 180 Catholics were publicly executed, often by being hanged, drawn, and quartered. Her sophisticated spy network, led by Francis Walsingham, uncovered and dismantled conspiracies with ruthless efficiency. She sanctioned the execution of her cousin, Mary, Queen of Scots, to eliminate a Catholic rival. While Elizabeth maintained a careful image of mercy, her statecraft was built on surveillance, coercion, and the strategic use of death. Empress Dowager Cixi. Empress Dowager Cixi ruled China from behind the throne for nearly 5 decades during the Qing dynasty, manipulating emperors and purging rivals. She seized power by placing her young son on the throne, then imprisoned opponents, including the emperor's widow and advisors. Later, she orchestrated a coup against her adopted son, the Guangxu emperor, when he attempted to introduce reform, placing him under house arrest. While the exact cause of his death remains debated, many historians believe Cixi was responsible for poisoning him. Cixi suppressed modernization efforts and backed the anti-foreigner Boxer Rebellion, which led to international invasion and chaos. Her rule was marked by paranoia, repression, and political stagnation. Queen Athaliah of Judah. Athaliah seized the throne of Judah around 841 BCE through a massacre. After her son, King Ahaziah, was killed, she ordered the execution of every member of the royal family, her own grandchildren included, to eliminate any claimants to power. According to the biblical account, only one infant, Joash, survived in hiding. Athaliah ruled for 6 years, promoting Baal worship and suppressing the traditional priesthood. Her regime was marked by tyranny and religious upheaval. Eventually, a revolt led by the high priest overthrew her, and she was executed by sword. Athaliah remains one of the Bible's most ruthless female rulers, infamous for murdering her own bloodline. Not only queens have ruled with cruelty, history is filled with ruthless kings whose actions were equally, if not more, brutal. From tyrants who burned cities to monarchs who turned their courts into killing grounds, their stories are just as chilling. To explore the darkest reigns of history's most feared kings, follow for more.